honestly love that I'm starting 2024 with Killer Soup and this movie because just visually stunning stuff to watch. मज़ा आता है कभी कभी देख के भी, just attention to detail and color and just everything works so beautifully. Hi, I'm Pratiksha Mishra and you're listening to my review of Merry Christmas. There is something about Sriram Raghavan's work. It's just, it always keeps you guessing, and there's just such love for cinema, and it's so simple and just wonderful, and all of that is there in Merry Christmas. You see this love for cinema also in these little details. Ek to sure, it fully features regal cinema and just glimpses of old Bollywood songs, and it's just these little details that just tie together Merry Christmas as Sriram Raghavan's work. Merry Christmas ka ek baat ye hai ki it is not the same level of stakes or as nail-biting as say an Andhadhun or a Badlapur, but just the simplicity of Merry Christmas is what kept me hooked to the movie the entire time. Merry Christmas की शुरुआत बहुत simple है. We see one man, Albert, played by Vijay Sethupathi, basically coming to CST. So he's come to Mumbai. But in this film, he's come to South Bombay. Because I think it's set somewhere in the 1980s, judging from like the little details in the film. Now it's Christmas Eve and he decides to go watch a movie in a theatre in Regal Cinema. And उसके पीछे आते हैं दो लोग बैठने के लिए, a mother and her very young daughter. The mother, Maria, is played by Katrina Kaif, and she comes with her daughter Annie and a huge teddy bear that I honestly wanted, and they sit behind him. This is starting to shape up like pretty much like a Hallmark movie meet cute, but you can't ignore the fact that A, it's made by Sriram Raghavan, and secondly, just the mood and the color tone is very much Alfred Hitchcock. The film that they're watching is Pinocchio, which does hint to the fact that a lot of people in this film could just be lying. जैसे कि starting में हम उसको देखते हैं CST पे, but he says that he's come from Dubai, and as far as I am aware, you cannot reach Dubai to Bombay via CST. Then there's also the fact that Maria seems to be holding some secrets very close to her. Throughout the duration of that night, these two end up in Maria's home and they kind of just start talking about their past and their relationships. और हमें पता चलता है कि both these characters, just the way that they are behaving is very much influenced by how love has turned out in their lives. Merry Christmas is pretty much a slow burn क्योंकि ये जो sequence है of these two spending time together in Maria's house is also kind of an opportunity for you to just take the surroundings in. इन कैरेक्टर्स के जो भी मोटिवेशंस हैं या जो भी पास्ट है इज ऑल एक्सप्लेन्ड इन डायलॉग. तो उसमें द डिलिशियस काइंड ऑफ थिंग ऑफ लाइक एन अनरिलायबल नरेटर क्रीप्स इन, विच वन ऑफ माय फेवरेट ट्रोप्स पर्सनली. विजय सेतुपति ने वो जो एक पोकर फेस है ना वो परफेक्ट कर लिया है, एज यू मस्ट हैव सीन इन हिज अर्लियर परफॉर्मेंसेस ऑल्सो. एंड हियर श्योर इट फील्स लाइक इट हैज लॉस्ट अ बिट ऑफ इट्स चार्म, बट इट्स स्टिल very, very watchable. Whenever he says something funny, just with this slight smile, you are also laughing because it works. For instance, in this film, Vijay Sethupathi emotes so much just purely through his eyes and his expressions, especially since Albert doesn't have a lot to say. Maria is performing just as much as Katrina Kaif is. She's telling you things, but you don't know if you should believe her. वो बाद में आपको फिल्म के क्लाइमैक्स में सब समझ में आएगा, बट इट्स जस्ट दिस काइंड ऑफ डुअल एक्ट दैट इज गोइंग ऑन हैज बीन प्लेड बाय कटरीना कैफ वेरी वेरी वेल. एक चीज़ है, आई डेंट ईजिली बाय इनटू लाइक द इमोशनल हेफ्ट ऑफ द स्टोरी. जो उनका रिलेशनशिप है ऑफ Maria and her daughter Annie, that just feels a little superficial. You buy into it, of course, because for years you have seen in Bollywood cinema just the relationship between a mother and a child, but through this film it doesn't come across very very well. And since this is a Sriram Raghavan film, we get Ashwini Kalsekar also in a role where once again you are wishing कि काश आपको इस फिल्म में उनका कैरेक्टर और थोड़ा देखने को मिलता. It doesn't make sense for the film, but it's just the performance is so fun to watch. It is difficult to talk about Merry Christmas without just talking about its setting. Architecture plays a huge role in Merry Christmas, and that is captured beautifully well even by camera person Madhu Neelkandan. But there is one issue that I did have. This film has way too many close-ups, and I think this is just a personal issue, but just the balance seems a little off. There's close-up after close-up after close-up of characters, and at one point I was wondering, show me a little more. I need a little more to happen. The art design and just in general the production is also great. We see the colors blue, red and green across this film, which works because it's supposed to be a Christmas Eve and a Christmassy film. The background score by Daniel B. George honestly complements this film perfectly. ये ऐसा score है जो ना stand out करता है और neither is it forgettable, and that's perfect for a film like this. Even the way music is used in this film is so fun. We see Vivaldi's Four Seasons just playing in the film, and while in the beginning it doesn't seem very important, it plays a huge role later, and it reminds me of the way Quentin Tarantino had used Stuck in the Middle with You in Reservoir Dogs to kind of just have that little dissonance in the music and the scene that you're watching. Loved it. Just the craft in this film is so fun to watch. Sure, the climax isn't the best. I feel like जो film ने setting इतना अच्छा किया है, the climax feels a little lackluster compared to that. But honestly, it's a pretty decent way to tie up this film. I think that whole romance angle that was beginning to come out would have ended like this only. But also, I don't know. I think it's expectations. I think it's too many expectations from Merry Christmas. But as a film, it feels like someone is sitting you down and narrating this film to you bit by bit, kind of explaining to you why they did something or just why they have decided to take a certain arc. And the entire time, you want to listen. You want to sit down and nod and be like, you know what? Yeah, pretty good stuff. And that is why my rating for Merry Christmas is 3.5 stars out of 5.